Yeah, hi there. Thank you for sending me your voice recording practice, Herman Hirohe. And I just listened to part A here, so here are my suggestions so far. You should focus more on lesson number 10, actually lesson number 7, 10, 13, 15, 16, 19, 21, and lesson number 24. So those lessons, you're having more trouble with the sounds in those lessons than the other ones, but I do recommend you go through all of my pronunciation lessons at least one time, but focus more on the ones I just outlined. Now remember, as you practice the videos, the whole point is to read out loud with me. This is called tracking. I want you to read everything that you see me say in the video. And get used to doing that every time you do pronunciation practice. You'll be reading pairs of words, you'll be reading sample sentences, you'll be reading paragraphs. Read it all out loud with me until it becomes very natural and very comfortable for you. Right? Okay, now let's go to part B. You're going to tell me a little bit about yourself. Here we go.
Part B. What is your educational background and your work history? Actually, I was a pharmacist in my home country, and when I moved here to America, I studied to work to be as a pharmacist, but I couldn't get the higher school in TOEFL, so I started to study pharmacy technician, and now I'm working as a pharmacy technician in one of the pharmacy here.
And we got to stop that. We want you to be a pharmacist, not a pharmacy technician. You will be able to improve your speaking. You will be able to improve your pronunciation. It takes practice. Now think about it. Now I'm assuming there's probably a pretty big difference in pay between a pharmacy tech and a full-blown pharmacist. The last I checked, a pharmacist makes anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 a year, and that is a great job. And that's what you want to do. And that's my job, is to help you reach that goal, right? So as I give you comments, I'm going to throw a whole bunch of things out to you to help you. And some of these things they might make you a little uncomfortable, but try to take my suggestions as much as you can, because I've been helping students for like 22 years, and a lot of the suggestions I give students, I know they work, right? It's not easy for you to do sometimes, but they work.
Why it is important for you to improve your speaking and pronunciation abilities of American English?
Okay, here we go.
I need to improve my English speaking and pronunciation for two main reasons. First one, I need to hit the required score from the board, so I need more practice, more or higher level in English speaking and pronunciation.
I like how you're trying to vary your tone. Now be careful. When you get to the end of a sentence, I want to practice my speaking and my pronunciation. But when you get to the end of the sentence, your tone needs to fall, not rise. Now, of course, within the sentence, you're dividing the ideas into thought groups, and you should have a slightly higher inflection at the end of every thought group in the sentence, except the last one. That's when your tone drops.
The second reason that I noticed that some of the customers, while I work in the pharmacy, many of them...
See how you're saying the customers I work in the pharmacy? You don't want to do that. When you get to the end of the sentence, the tone goes down, not up. So remember that. That's an important point. That's going to help you sound a little more natural.
They could not catch my pronunciation. So
they could not catch my pronunciation. So when you get to the end of the sentence, drop your tone. Because if you don't, a native speaker might think you're making a question when you're not making a question, so you don't want to confuse anybody with intonation issues.
I have a big problem that makes them not catch me very well. So the question, what do you hope to achieve in this course? The only thing I wish or I hope to get it is to hit the required score in the TOEFL exam, which is more than 26.
Yeah, but you want to do more than that. Remember, as a pharmacist, you're working on communicating, and remember that for you, your speaking and pronunciation is going to need to be a little bit better than normal, because you're working with a lot of elderly people. Unfortunately, elderly people in the United States do not have very good health, so they have to go talk to you to get their medications. They're old. They don't hear very well. They may not be used to talking to non-native speakers, so they're going to have more trouble than even normal people. So your speaking and pronunciation needs to be very clear so that you can communicate effectively with the customers that you're working with. Does that make sense? So try to look beyond the TOEFL, right? It's not just getting a 26 on the speaking section, but it's being able to communicate effectively with the people in your career, your job career. That's the main thing. Okay, now, let's take a look here. So your score here, I noticed you do have some problems with intonation. I pointed that out. That's something you can work on. You also have some problems with vowel and consonant sounds, as I've already noted. Now, what I want to do right now is I'm going to give you a score from 1 to 7. 7 is a native speaker, 1 is a high beginner, and you're actually pretty good. I'm going to put you at 4.3 out of 7, so high intermediate level in your speaking abilities. Now here's my suggestion. Nobody wants to hear my suggestions, but I got to tell you. If you can volunteer somewhere, it might be a school, it could be a library, it might be a hospital, it could be you need to go somewhere where you're getting a lot of English. Now if you're already doing that, disregard my comment. But just make sure that you're speaking English as much as you can every day. That's going to be very, very important. Now for you, you should go over and study the lessons I suggested, and remember there's voice recording exercises at the end of each lesson. You can also send those to me for evaluation, and I'll give you feedback on that. Now, start doing speaking practice beginning tomorrow. Remember the tone. The tone. Your tone drops when you get to the end of every sentence unless it's a yes-no question. If it's a statement, your tone should fall, not rise. So that's one thing I'm going to listen for. That's an improvement that I'm hoping you will make soon. All right? And that's part of my job. Every time you do speaking practice, I'll listen to it, I'll comment on it, and you take notes, and I'll try to give you ideas on things that you're doing well and things that you need to improve on. So what I like about you is you're comfortable. You speak fairly quickly, you speak fluently, you don't have a lot of pauses and hesitations in there, so you seem to be fairly confident in communicating your ideas. And that's a good thing, right? All right, thank you for doing the pretest.